Hi everybody, Elvis here, your camera maker, and late for the Kickstarter update for your ONDU Eikan camera that you pledged now almost a year ago. Everything has been going relatively smoothly. There were some minor issues with just managing different companies and organizing everything to fit well into place. And other than being late, there's not many problems that we're still facing on the production of this camera. And just to get it out of the way, the camera, in my calculation, should be released in a few weeks. Two, three, hopefully max 4 weeks from now. And yeah, I'm super eager to get them out to you. And not just because it's my work, I really feel it's gonna be a really nice camera that punches way above its price tag. It's gonna be on par with all the good proper cameras that are out there today, maybe even better in some respects. So as for the update, what I've been working in the past few months is optimizing the design. There have been some design changes in the camera, mainly the folding mechanisms and tiny little details like the knobs and so on. And another thing that I really wanted to do is clean up the camera as much as possible. The camera that you saw in the Kickstarter video and the subsequent updates and Instagram posts and so on was just the few prototype cameras that I made. And those prototype cameras were good in their own sense, but not worthy of production value, like production level cameras yet. So in order to get to that stage, I had to polish some more things and go the extra mile of ordering every single screw that has to be custom made to make this camera look the way that I envisioned it and how I wish for my work to be presented in the world. That means that not a single component in this camera came out from an off-the-shelf component. Every tiny screw, everything was designed to my specifications and coded and prepared, and everything is built from scratch. I can say pretty much everything, maybe some tiny little bits that are like standard issues, but like this is a custom camera. Everything is custom. I'm super proud of that. It took so much time for one person to do this, but it's gonna look amazing once it's out. And so I'm just gonna give a little rough down of some of the things that you can see here. And these are the pre-production batch runs that we did a few weeks ago already now. And the thing that was bothering me most in these test batches that we were doing even before this pre-production batch was the surface quality of the laser, and the tolerances of the dimensions were not consistent in the previous company that we were collaborating with, the company that actually made the prototypes and promised that they could deliver these consistencies once we come to making more cameras. On a hunch, I contacted a company that used to do other components for me, mainly shutters for the pinhole cameras, and I asked them if they can do a few sample pieces as well for the Eikan, and it turned out they do a much better job for the same price and everything else. So I'm gonna see if this is gonna show on camera, but maybe I'm gonna just zoom in later and fix it. But essentially the surface finish on the previous company's laser had a little bit of a burr, like an edge that is not completely smooth, and I felt like this is kind of unacceptable and kept nagging them if they can improve the surface finish. I don't have so much experience with laser cutters that cut non-organic materials. I only use laser cutters which cut organic materials and plastics and stuff like that. So in my limited knowledge was just like, I hope they can do it better, but not really knowing, until I contacted this other company and they made a super nice silky smooth finish on the edges, which means virtually no post-processing and a really good look on the actual camera, not to mention that there's no friction when moving and stuff like that. So I'll make a close-up of this so you can see what's actually going on. The other thing was, yeah, like I mentioned, these tolerances when bending the steel, as well as damage to the actual surface. We don't want any blemishes at all on the component before they get the surface treatment. So as we're speaking now, I'm getting a few hundred of these batches, so the whole assemblies being cut in this facility. And the reason why I have to make so many is the more I order, the cheaper it gets. And I obviously have to take in the risk of keeping this much stock, but that's just how these things work. That's the reason why I actually went on the Kickstarter, so that this thing can all get out somehow and flow. This is the one hurdle that now is fixed. The bodies are being cut, and probably by the time this video is out, I already have the stuff here. The other thing is the surface finish of the actual aluminum. So as you might have remember from the previous update, I decided to opt in for powder coating instead of anodized aluminum, because there was a difficult endeavor of trying to keep the same quality of aluminum in all of the components. So many components have different thicknesses of aluminum. Well, some of it's 4, some of it's 2, some of it's 3, some of it's 1 millimeter thick. And if there are differences in the alloy of the actual aluminum, when we get to surface treated with anodizing, which is a chemical electroplating type process, there can be a bit of difference in the nuances of the tone of the in our case, black coating. So based on information that I had from other from the actual first manufacturer, they said, yeah, powder coating should be good. I brought them some samples from some parts that I have from my 3D printers. I said, oh, this would be nice if we can get this type of coating. They said, no problem. And then when I went to the powder coating company, it turned out that these companies, I haven't yet found a dedicated powder coating company that's able to do such a fine finish like I had in my example pieces. But anyways, we went ahead and we did a few samples. So let's see if this is gonna show. Let's see, I have my phone here with me. So, oh yeah, this is nice. So this is a glossy, semi-glossy, semi-textured powder coat. And as you can see, there's a problem. It's too thick and this part just doesn't move. So this one was out. Then we have a nice matte finish, which is really, really close to what we're looking for. Then we have a textured black coating. And then there's also the sandblasted anodized aluminum coating. And the reason why it's scratching here is not the coating, but the problem with tolerances that I was discussing before. As it turns out now, some components are really eligible for powder coating and some components are really good being sandblasted and anodized. And that's what's gonna happen. There's gonna be a combo of each, most likely. If I manage to tune the chemical bath with the guys at the anodizing factory, that we can really match all of the components in the same way, then we're going to try anodizing everything. If not, there's going to be a mixture of powder coating and anodizing for this first batch. In any case, you probably won't know the difference, but I'm really particular with this camera. I want it to be top notch. I want it to be like, just when you get it, you're like, oh, this is just such a nice tool that this guy made. For me personally, it's the most difficult product that I've ever tackled. Before, I just made pinhole cameras, which were relatively simple, a lot of handwork, but not so many components and not managing many companies and many people. make them communicate between themselves so that in the end we get a final product that works. All the linear components have been custom manufactured also, and the focusing rails and the focusing nuts, anti-backlash nuts, they have all been custom manufactured and they are already in the shop. The wooden components are being prepared until we get the final aluminum components that we can actually build the frame around the final dimensions of the aluminum components. So we can do minuscule changes to the actual wood that we can then incorporate into the final design of everything. But that's the easier part. The wood part is something that I already know how to deal with. This steel stuff is brand new territory for me, and that's why it's draining out so much of my mental capacity to try and get it right. Also, the fabrics have arrived for the bellows, for the camera, and which have also been a story in itself. The company that makes them sent some batches, like test batches, and then when I made the final order, there was holes, and then we had to go back and forth shipping 30 kilos of fabric across the world to get this final fabric that should work. I also made changes to the back of the camera. In the Kickstarter video, the actual back had a lot of screws and visible screws and a lot of like difficult to reach places for the graph lock component and so on. So now we're gonna have a pretty sleek looking back that's gonna have just these simple little tabs that you're gonna use to secure the graph lock into place, and a simple spring that keeps the ground glass on. So that's super exciting. The actual ground glass holder looks really nice and funky. As I mentioned, I redesigned pretty much every little aspect of the camera to make it proper, and there's going to be some details that you're going to be probably quite excited to see. I've also managed to acquire a Fresnel screen for all of the cameras, meaning that in the Kickstarter survey that I'll be sending out soon, you can choose if you want to have a Fresnel screen or not. The Fresnel, I don't know the actual pronunciation, but let's call it Fresnel for now, is essentially an injection molded piece of plastic that acts like a lens that essentially brightens the ground glass projection of the image. So some people like it because, especially on wider angle lenses, the vignetting that comes with these type of lenses is pretty much alleviated. It makes a nice bright image, and it can also be removable and exchangeable if you want down the road. It's not a fixed thing, so you're going to be able to choose that in your Kickstarter update. Yeah, like I mentioned, even the screws are being custom made. They're on their way now, and I worked really hard to even find screws that, like here we had silver screws, which is what I had at hand. There won't be any mismatch of colors like silver screws and black. It's gonna be all black and black. That's what I ordered. I hope it comes this way as well to me. The assembly workshop is ready to go. Everybody's on call, all the workers, when all the components start hitting the floor, which should be already the last week of March. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it from the top of my head now. So I'm planning to send these cameras hopefully around the 17th, 20th of April. Yeah, I really hope we get there, because I'm also getting really exhausted from this build, and I'm really looking forward to see the cameras in your hands all over the world and see all the epic things that you're gonna capture with the Eikan. Yeah, again, I'm really sorry for the slow update frequency. It was a pretty hectic few months. There was also a passing of my grandma that happened a few days after the first Kickstarter, which took quite a lot out of me. But yeah, it also gave me a lot of strength, realizing that this is life, and yeah, we're gonna be okay. All right, thank you everybody again. I'm gonna try to wrap this update and give you some more visual stuff from the actual build, and some of the videos that I shot behind the scenes, and hopefully you're gonna get a little bit more of an inside look into what it takes to make these cameras. Thank you again, and I'll see you very, very soon. Probably just gonna post some pictures of the actual build just to keep you in the loop and get you excited and hyped for the actual delivery of your cameras. Thank you.